Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And also joining us is Conner Nielson. How you doing, Conner?
Hey, everybody. I'm doing well today. I'm melting because it's super hot in Oregon, but I'm doing well. I'm alive. So,
Anywho's, take it, timekeepers. Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves on the cusp of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, even courting a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. All right.
God.
Okay, the timekeepers aren't real. Mobius is dead. Multiple Lokis. Croaky. It's all coming up here on a jam-packed Loki recap podcast. Oh my god. Did Marvel just collectively read the internet and be like, they think that episode 3 was slow-paced? Oh, we'll show you pace. I mean, what happened here, guys? I feel like we got like 2 seasons finales worth of cliffhangers, and we've got 2 episodes left.
Yeah, this was quite the improvement after 3, and yeah, a lot of game-changing reveals, it seems.
All right, so Conner, of course, this is the first time you're on, so why don't you tell us, of course, we've got 2 more episodes left, but so far, how do you feel about this show just overall?
oh, right. So the first 2 episodes, I would say, to say I was not feeling them would be a gross understatement. I kind of hated everything about them.
Oh wow!
I honestly was like, I don't know. This is the first one I'm gonna have to tap out during. I was like, this isn't this. We're not at a Falcon and Winter Soldier levels of bad for me personally yet. But like, I don't know if I can do another Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I feel like, I don't know, I don't mean to be a contrarian, guys. I really don't. I just maybe it's just my natural state.
Yeah, this is the variant Conner Nielson, in case anyone's curious.
But I kind of like that 3rd episode. I was like, oh.
You know what? I think in the grand scheme of things, the 3rd episode's people are gonna regard it just fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with a slow down episode to build some character.
Well, and that's one of the things is like, I've been having a lot of frustrations with this show. Primarily, the first 2 episodes, I was not a big fan of how it handled world building, in the sense that it was basically just having characters sitting in medium shots and just sort of, as bluntly as possible, explain how the world and everything in it works. And I still don't think it made any sense. And then what I found kind of frustrating about that is I would say, yeah, I don't think this makes sense, and people would go, it's not supposed to make sense. I'm like, okay, but I still feel like then I wasted 2 hours sitting there listening to somebody lie to me for 2 hours. So that 3rd episode, like, there was the reveal that like all the people who work at the TVA are actually like variants who have had their autonomy taken away from them, and they now serve the TVA. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a detail that kind of makes sense to me. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, okay. Now I got something. And I think the character of Sylvie was awesome. I really liked that character. It was awesome I felt like a lot of the characters in this show don't really do a whole lot. They're sort of like in the process of trying to do something, or they're getting around to doing something. And it was really cool to have that character just boom, boom, boom. She gets stuff done. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then, and so with this episode, I think this is far and away the best episode of the show so far. I'm not entirely, like, there are still things about this show that are just this show that are just kind of like in the DNA, in the identity, that I'm not quite sold on, that I still find frustrating. But for the first time with the show of Loki, I'm excited to see what happens next. And like you had said, Tiki, I'm just like shocked that there's 2 episodes left. I'm like, wow, this is cool. Like, I have no idea where we're going and how they're going to fill 2 more episodes, but I'm excited to see what they do. So,
okay, Conner, I'm going to open up a huge can of worms. All right, so get ready. All right. This episode Now, I just want to, before I say this, I just want to emphasize, like, I am one of those people who, because I love this movie doesn't mean I don't acknowledge that it has a lot of flaws, and I respect the people that don't like it. All right. I feel like I have to like be very political when I mention this movie. This episode gave me some serious Last Jedi vibes.
That was the connection I was also going to make.
Okay. Yeah. Just in terms of like, it was the same sort of excitement I got watching The Last Jedi, as far as like, okay, like we're going down this really predictable path, and then suddenly like, oh wow, okay, like, you know, it just kind of hits you out of nowhere. Like that throne room scene and the Timekeeper's Wizard of Oz kind of scene are very, very similar, I think.
Well, yeah, and you know what I thought was very exciting about The Last Jedi is that it more or less wrapped up all. Is like, oh, you can do anything with that third Star Wars movie. You can do anything. This is exciting. And with this, like, it's like I kind of figured that the Timekeepers were going to be fake from the get-go. And so that reveal was kind of like, oh, kind of cool that I was right about that. But what I was really excited about was like, I thought we like legit just killed Loki. And I was like, oh, you know, Sylvie is a Loki. And what if she takes over this show? I mean, it's not lying. It's still
it's still there are a bunch of Loki variants we could go to technically. If one goes, we could have another.
And honestly, like with
and our Loki that we've been following has technically been out of the timeline, and it's not really the main timeline Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that, all that stuff I found exciting. Yeah. So I'm with you.
Cool. Right on. And let me just say, it's refreshing to have another a fellow Last Jedi fan here. Like, I totally acknowledge the flaws in that movie, but goddamn, if the continuity doesn't get really shaken up in that movie in an exciting way. Okay, so yeah, in regards to the Timekeeper thing, my favorite part of that moment was just how after the reveal, like they literally just look like rocket fire explosion animatronics, just like it's just totally just like the Chuck E. Cheese look. It's just like, I love how the lighting and the fog just really helped sell the whole visual of the Timekeepers. And were you guys like me when they first showed up? Were you just like, was your mind going crazy? Like, oh shit, okay, oh god, what's that one? Oh god.
Yeah, I was really keyed in on the center one, wondering, is it Kang? Right. Is it Kang?
Right.
Which I know is not Kang.
With the big mustache. Oh god.
Mustache did crack me up.
that guy looked like a Canto Bite alien. You know that one? That, like,
yeah, a little like special, like the Gambler one. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Dragon, I feel like all the guys that make the clickbait thumbnails with the little red circles and arrows were going crazy in that moment.
Oh, they were. I'm sure. I could feel it when the scene happened. Like, oh my god, it's the big moment.
Oh my god, so much explaining to do. Go ahead, Conner.
As you know, I in that second episode, I was thinking, okay, we keep talking about the Timekeepers, but we're never actually seeing. I don't think they're real. So when you actually like enter the chamber and you see like their silhouettes and stuff, I thought, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they are real.
Well, yes and no.
Yeah, precisely, Dragon. Yeah, Dragon, what did you think? You've been a little quiet over there.
Yeah. So just with the jump to the Timekeeper thing, I thought it was an impressive effect. Again, very clearly not Kang. They are indeed space lizards, or so we think. They're actually androids, which gives credence to the old wizards, androids, and aliens thing from Falcon Winter Soldier, which is funny. So it seems.
I mean, we all know Mephisto's behind this, right? Come on, that's got to be the main theory.
Oh god, the Mephisto is never going to go away. But yeah, so Ravonna. Ravonna Renslayer getting a lot more interesting, and
let's talk Ravonna, because I love what they've done with her character here, and I really think this is a great example of a twist villain done right.
Yeah, and she was always so far she's just been played just as the judge and sort of like kind of the confidant boss
She's
of
pretty much
Mobius and
just played as
Mobius.
just like efficient and competent in her job. You know, nothing more, nothing less than that. You know.
Yeah. And here we've given her some dimension. We've given her like a peek at dimension, and then of course the big reveal, where one she just seems to be okay. So she's a little bit more hardened than we expect. For the whole she dealt with a child variant with young Sylvie and her backstory, which again I love how we set up that dynamic too. It's like the vengeance in Sylvie that Ravonna Renslayer just plucked her out. And for seemingly no reason at all, seemingly, honestly, it's kind of just let me harken back to the backstory, tease, and then we'll circle back to Ravonna.
Mm-hmm.
So one, we confirmed that Sylvie is indeed she started out as a Loki. She is indeed a Loki. Now, whether they kind of went with the whole Enchantress thing of Loki, then they passed the powers down to a girl named Sylvie, who knows? But we don't know that yet. I don't know if we're gonna know it, but we'll see. But I assume the question is Loki, I'm assuming, just given the whole timeline thing, that a lady Loki wasn't supposed to exist in the 616 timeline. Ergo, we plucked her out of it. So basically, her crime was existing, which is very sad. For this girl, and basically it's Ravonna's callously doing her job and about to kill this kid, pretty much when she's guilty of just existing, and for even more apocryphal reasons. Now that we know the truth about the TVA, we just. It's the fact that Ravonna, after doing this, just doesn't even remember what her Nexus event was.
Was such a genius sign of a character being evil. That was great writing, man. It's like you can do all the whole like, oh, Anna, if only somebody loved you. You can have all those sort of reveals that you want, but at the end of the day, it comes down to just someone being just cold and like just unsympathetic, and man, like that really hit me.
And by the same token, the one of the big oh my god moments of the episode, the pruning of my poor Mobius.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk through that. That was huge.
Yes, I was like, no, he didn't get the jet ski yet. No.
Okay, I am going to say something controversial here and say, I know we're all wanting Mobius to come back. I know we're all hoping for it. I honestly think that if he just stays dead in this moment, my God, I applaud how freaking great that writing is from a character point of view. Because if you think about it, like this is a guy that's been around for like 2.5 episodes, but we've grown such a sense of attachment to him.
Yeah.
And what's the one thing we really know about him that humanizes him? The jet ski thing. So for the jet ski thing to be called back to in such a big, dramatic way, just me riding around on my jet ski. I don't know, man. Like that's fucking poetry right there. I would be more than happy if like I would be sad, but still I'd be more than happy from a character level if that actually was the last we saw of him.
It does service the jet ski point, but also again, it's a big gamble. You're going to take out like a big draw of the show. I mean, you saw people rebelled against it when we took out Owen Wilson last episode. You're going to kill them off.
Exactly.
But you made it count, though.
But of course,
I guess my question is, how does him dying, like I don't know, like the same thing happens to like Loki, and he wakes up in like a weird alternate world with other variant Lokis. So is Owen Wilson just kind of in his own realm of variant?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
I have the
Conner.
I have the that. Sorry, Tigger, do you want to go first?
Well, yes. My running theory all season long has been that that Mobius is a Loki. So now with this little wrinkle, with the whole like, oh no, we killed off a beloved character, and then it's like, oh no, we killed off another beloved character. Like to me, guys, the Mobius is Loki thing is like almost close to confirmed for me. Like I can taste it, and I'm excited.
It is. I kind of want that theory to be true because it seems really interesting.
To me, it's the only feasible way in which you can bring Mobius back. Because if Mobius is a Loki, and all the Lokis that get pruned gets sent to this weird plane of existence, that's where he's going to show back up. And he'll probably show back up just fucking riding around on a jet ski somewhere.
Okay, let me rock you with my theory here. Okay. So of course the big question is the pruning works one of two ways, I figure. Okay. Either A, the pruning is really a teleporter, ergo people are just, teleported to what I presume to be their variant place of origin, as in what if, just throwing it out there, and again, we won't really know until we answer some questions next episode, but what if when people are pruned, they are sent to the multiverse branch that we said we were erasing, but maybe we just, we hit it.
Mm-hmm.
As in, what is the thing about it? So Loki, when assuming we go this route, and it's not just, again, if you take it at face values, and pruning literally is the end, is that, okay, we pruned everyone, but the Lokis intervened and saved our Loki from the pruning fate. So that's the straightforward way of playing it. That's the way you keep everyone dead, but not Loki. But assuming the pruning's a teleporter, if it puts everyone back to their variant states, our Loki went to, if you noticed, he's in the successful version of Loki's plan in Avengers. You have the destroyed.
I did notice this.
The New York that's been destroyed by the Chitauri or something, which basically were exactly in New York with the Avengers Tower there. So presumably, that's so again. Assumingly, if he went back when he got the Tesseract. Had the TVA not gotten involved, it would have been back there, and perhaps Mobius goes back to his time, in which he had a jet ski, just for the heck of it. So he's just riding the jet ski, and he's all happy and content, and that's where we reveal our people go once they've been pruned.
I would like to think that Mobius is a real-world, non-god, non-powers version of Loki. He is basically everyman Loki, essentially.
Mobius had a line this episode that really stuck with me for two reasons. One was a really good line, but also it's kind of a foreshadowing line to if he were Loki.
Okay.
The line was, the last really wonderful line that he had to Loki was, in passing before they walked out of the time cell, which we'll talk about. You can be whatever you want to be, even someone good. And I think that's such a nice line, but also a possible, Loki's Mobius foreshadowing. And this is what I chose to be. I chose to be someone good. I could be anything. But again, it's a question of if he knew that, why wouldn't he? But here's the thing that makes me think that is a clue to Loki, because he said right before that, listen, I need you to trust me. That seems like, okay, I have a plan here because I'm a Loki, so trust me, and that's kind of his clue of you can be someone good. So that's the most credence I can give your Mobius's Loki.
Even if it's not part of the plan, it's still a beautiful line.
I know I love it regardless. I love that it's kind of the heart of the series between these two guys. Yeah. So I love that it carries any which way you slice it. But again, it's the most credent evidence I can find for the whole Mobius's Loki. All right. But again, We'll see how that puppy goes.
Jacob says,
can I ask you guys a question about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it, Connor.
Okay, because this is a thing about this show that I've been really confused about since the beginning, and hopefully you guys can explain this to me. I'm confused about how being a variant works.
Well, we had the whole Miss Minute short and everything.
Well, and I think it doesn't. I don't think it makes sense with what we're shown. So there. Okay, let me lay this out because there's one timeline. Okay.
Yes.
This is what we're told. There's one
sacred timeline. Yes.
And every time I hear that, I cringe. But it's good to know that people at Screen Rant are writing Marvel shows now, so that's pretty cool. But we have one timeline, right? And a variant is when something is on that timeline and it diverges from its intended path.
AKA the Nexus event, a change that is made which causes the variant to go off course, yes.
Correct. My question then becomes, how is it possible that there's a Lady Loki? How is it possible that there are all these crazy elsewhere? I think they show all these other variant Lokis. One is a big buff caveman type.
Yeah, all the the ice giant, the frost giant.
Yeah, and so I think then, how is that possible? Because we catch up with Lady Loki, Sylvie when she's a little girl, and I'm thinking okay, how though? Because because I'm thinking about the verbiage from like that first episode where if everything's is splintering, because when they say you could just be late to work one day, I get that makes sense to me, because you are you and you're doing your thing, but you just did something slightly off and that causes a diverging timeline. Okay, got it. When it is a completely like immutable characteristic about you, it's like, what if I was born black? It's like, okay, that's not the me that would be in the quote sacred timeline. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
it's just like these are like weird differences that feel like they are like multiversal differences. These feel like elseworlds. These feel like alternate universe versions of these characters. They don't feel like alternate versions of a core timeline.
All right,
and that's what I find confusing.
Okay, let me feel this one out. Here's so far as my take on it. You're right. There are two variables I'm kind of missing, but so far my understanding is this. So when the reason for all the other variants, as in like the different looking Lokis and stuff, just at face value, is that okay? So up to this point, these were different ways things could have gone, and this would be the manifestation. And the idea is that the TVA assigned someone to fix that, and then they took them out of existence. Ergo, things fixed themselves once they had the reset charge. And the tricky thing for me, the variable I can't account for until we really answer, is like the scope of the reset charge. Because that's the thing. Like, for example, first episode, we pluck Loki out of the now screwed with 2012 timeline. The question is, did the reset charge completely fix things like people were wondering about? Like, how do we get the Tesseract back? All that, or is that question to be answered if our Loki goes back and fulfills his role in the timeline? So I just want to know the scope of the reset charge, or if it's just like the place you're in, or just it hits the entire timeline for like that day or whatnot.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing though, is it's like, I think these are like variables that, like, if you are working for the TVA or if you're Loki and you're getting told all of these rules, like, you would ask questions about these.
Yeah.
And so, for example, my theory is that there is a multiverse, and these are just people that are getting like zapped from the multiverse.
Yeah, and again, that's kind of
But then my frustration becomes, why was this not a question addressed in the first episode? And if it's
what
not
if it's a reveal though?
Yes,
what if
answer then why are these characters not smart enough to catch on to that? That's where my frustration comes.
I mean, I can't answer the second part of that, but I'm feeling like the multiverse thing, you're onto something there, and I feel like that might be a reveal. That might be part of like the bigger plans of the TVA, like
that's my theory with the
man behind the curtain.
Yeah, that's kind of my theory with the whole pruning thing. The pruning is going to correlate with the multiverse and all, like, how that happens. Like, we're pretending this lie, like we're saying there isn't a multiverse when actually it does exist, perhaps.
Yes.
But we know a Nexus event is real though, because we set that up in WandaVision. So there is a basis for this, but I think next episode would be the illuminating marker. If we don't get answers to this, sort of like how this multiverse thing might work, how we have all these variant Lokis that have kind of exist, perhaps, I think that's going to be the big determining marker if there's a problem here with that or not. I mean, in regards to like how we have like a little girl Loki, again, my assumption is my theory is that these events happen. It's when it goes by the time that the timekeeper's desk, so to speak. When it goes by the TVA's desk and they send out amendment. Okay, this isn't supposed to happen. We're going to go back in time and pluck her out and just reset the timeline. That everything's going to readjust to the 616 kind of main MCU continuity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I'm working with based on what I have right now. But yeah, I'd say they're playing a long game, assuming they have a reveal. Otherwise, I'd say it's kind of, you got to wait till the first season to really kind of go back and make those calls. Kind of, that's just my 2 cents.
Well, yeah, and I guess like my thing is like this is like these are just like kind of things about kind of the premise of the show that are like still things that I'm thinking about. And I feel like a lot of my questions would be like not questions if I kind of would have preferred if the show did like an Inception thing where like, like that is a.
I feel like the show's trying to do an Inception, and like, with all due respect to the writers, it's not quite that clever.
but in like Inception, that's a movie that has like a lot of exposition and world building to get out of the way in its first hour. And like, but they have like, you know, in this show it's Loki, and in that movie it's Ariadne, where you have your POV character where you're like you're feeding this information to the audience, by extension of feeding it to this character. But in Inception, like, you see her in the dream world and working with it and asking questions, and you see the practical application of the answers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so like you visually see it and you see how it all kind of connects together. This one is just kind of like they're just explaining it to you, and I get a little kind of confused, like what's information that I'm supposed to like take at face value that will be subverted later, or what is like actual like law, like no, this is actually something that's a real rule. And like that's where I'm like, I'm a little confused here. And I think the reason I'm bringing this up is because of, I'm thinking the beginning of this episode when we see little Sylvie, I'm thinking she wouldn't be the variant. Like, wouldn't her parents be the variant? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I still say there's something we're missing with Sylvie, so that's the thing. There's something.
Okay.
Yeah. So a couple things in the comments. Jacob, our buddy Jacob Weil, says it's Earth 199999. I mean, look, Jacob, they keep going back and forth on like the whole if it's Earth 616 or 199999.
I want it to be 616 because it's 10 away from 626.
Well, I mean, I like it because that's just what we call the comics. And it just makes things a lot easier when you say 616. People know you're talking about. It's the main line. So, but I mean, yeah, go on.
I like Earth 626 where everybody's a Stitch. I think that would
be cool. That would be awesome.
All right, Beowulf, I'm just going to dress Beowulf in the Onceler thing. Didn't Avengers come out before the Lorax movie? Like, wasn't Loki a thing before Onceler was a thing? Like, you keep spamming that in the comments.
Well, technically, it was always a thing before.
Well, no, I know, but like, you know, the version of the Onceler, the one that all the Tumblr girls go all.
Basically, yeah, you mean the Illumination ones?
Yes.
I mean, I want to say Avengers was before that movie, but I can't remember. I want
to say so too. What?
I think Lorax came out 2 months before Avengers.
Really? Oh,
really?
Wow. Well, I thought, is that thin? I'm surprised by that.
Well, at any rate, I feel like the Onceler fandom and the Loki fandom kind of came out like concurrently with each other.
Well, let's face it, Loki's cooler than the Onceler in that movie.
Oh, no doubt. But I feel like they're both like, you know, like in terms of like the appeal that they have, they are very similar. You know, they're green kind of goth guys who have a rebellious streak to them, but
bad boys.
Right, yeah. Exactly, Connor. Exactly.
They got a thing for headwear.
They're a project. We can fix them.
Oh God! All right, so I want to talk about Lamentus 1, the big scene we have. This is the Nexus event in question.
Can I just say I am loving the theremin.
It's theremin.
Yeah, sorry. I'm loving that as like is an instrument of choice in the show. It gives the music such a distinct vibe.
It was a good choice musically. It's very befitting, very Twilight Zone-y, you know.
I have my grievances with this show, but none of those grievances have to do with the music. I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah.
So I like the Lamentus 1's kind of an obvious pun, but I love that it's time for lamenting over the end. It's kind of,
and I'm still getting major Wind Waker vibes from Lamentus 1, by the way.
It's so
major
funny.
Wind Waker vibes.
We got the big Black Widow shot in this episode, by the way. The one made everyone speculate the whole, like, are we on Vormir? Is that Black Widow? Just kind of makes me laugh in retrospect looking at it. Right. Purple planets. What do you know? Anyway, the big thing with Sylvie I really like getting this episode. This is basically at the opening of this episode. I know like they're plotting a series, and I guess we needed here. All the stuff I wanted from Sylvie last episode I got here at the top, which this whole she witnessed the end of 1,000 worlds, and that changes a person. And, Loki, we have this wonderful thing between the two of them where, Loki's advice to her is like that Loki's never die, which is nice, and again, somewhat
like the Goonies.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, but I like kind of somewhat the mission statement of the show there. This whole Lokis are destined to lose. We may lose, but we survive, and that's kind of the mission statement of the show. We're going to endure, we're going to survive in some way, shape, or form, or variancy.
I don't care who wins. I just need Kylo Ren to lose. All right, I'm sorry.
Okay. So basically, my theory. I don't want to just keep saying my theory because
Dragon, my whole enjoyment of this show has been built off of one theory, so it's fine. It's fine.
What I love, and I mean, I shouldn't even say theory because it's talked about it in the episode. I love the speculation for what caused the Nexus event is that it's an honest moment between two liars, that caused the Nexus event. And of course, the speculation whether it's just the emotion and the honest moment of, perhaps as the episode flirts with you, is Loki falling in love with himself, which is really interesting.
By the way, that is the root of Beowulf's thing with the Onceler, is that apparently, because I actually knew about the Onceler fandom is weird, man. They started making alternate versions of the Onceler, and then they started shipping the alternate versions of the Onceler with other alternate versions of the Onceler.
It could have been really creepy, because remember the Onceler in the original special, in the original book, it has like that whole family of Oncelers that come by to help him out.
Sarah Zed has a really good video on it if you're interested in the Onceler Tumblr fandom. I see what you're getting at, though, Beowulf. I see what you're getting at with the alternate reality versions of characters like being in love with themselves. I see what you're getting at. All right. Anyways,
but yeah, Mobius kind of mocking him for essentially having a crush on himself is really funny because what I loved in episode 1 so much in the big scene, is he's having the defending your life moment, looking over his life and everything. It's the whole Loki inspires himself, which I absolutely buy from a narcissist, which we do here. So him falling in love with himself, as kind of twisted as it is, I can buy that.
Yeah,
totally.
So yeah. I gotta say, like the two things I kind of had beef with this episode were kind of right off the top. One of them was like, we'll get into this later, but like Sylvie as an 8-year-old breaking out of the TVA.
I had issue with that too. I'm not gonna lie.
It's like she's craftier than she expected.
I will give Dragon. I will give that a moderate I will give that a moderate shrug of like, I don't care. Like, it's not an enthusiastic, like, oh, the story's so good, I don't care. But it's just kind of like, you know what? Like, logically, we have to get to this point. I don't care.
Connor's a better point to make. What do you think,
Connor?
I can get into that later. But, like, the other big thing that I thought was, and this is another thing where it's like, okay, I don't know if, because, like, one of the rules that was established in this show that, again, I was like, I don't know if that makes any sense, is at the end of, like, during an apocalypse, you can do whatever you want and it won't cause any variation. It won't cause a Nexus event. And I was like, he's like, I could have pushed the Hulk off of the
Rainbow Bridge.
The Rainbow Bridge, and it wouldn't have done anything. I'm like, but it would have, because then Hulk wouldn't be on.
I'm not gonna lie, that line bothered me too. I'm not gonna lie.
Like the Hulk
that was maybe not the best.
That doesn't mean the Hulk would have died. He just would have been somewhere else.
I know. The Hulk wouldn't have been on that ship to fight Thanos, and then that way he wouldn't have been. Then what's his name? Idris Elba wouldn't have been able to send Hulk back to Earth, and that way he wouldn't have been able to warn everybody on Earth about Thanos and Infinity War. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at the dominoes as they're all lined up, and like, if you just push Hulk off of the Rainbow Bridge, all of a sudden it very much does cause a very different like timeline to happen. But because of this show, I was like, okay, I guess I just have to give this show that you can do whatever you want during an apocalypse, and it's not going to change anything. And that's kind of what made the ending of the last episode feel a little like, oh, I wonder how they're going to get out of it.
To be fair, he made that example with a salad. So,
oh, come on! No, not the milk.
Yeah, but
not the milk.
But they established that. But then they go and test that theory by going to Mount Vesuvius and like just start like messing stuff up, and then nothing happens. You know what I mean? And
that's the point, though. I mean, when you put the Hulk in there, it falls apart. But what I'm saying, well, with just you individually, then yes, you can get away with it.
No, like
why?
Okay.
They're all
This
gonna die.
But this is what I'm talking about with like the show like establishing rules, and like this is like the inception part where it's like, okay, now we're going to practically apply the rule we've just established, which is the reason why the reason they can't find Sylvie is because she's hiding in apocalypses.
Yes.
Loki comes up with this idea like, hey, she's hiding in apocalypses because you can do whatever you want during an apocalypse and it won't cause a Nexus event.
Yes.
And then Mobius says, that's absurd. You made that analogy with the salad. I call bull on that. And then he says, let's go to Mount Vesuvius and I'll test this theory. Yeah. And so then they test it. It works out. And they're like, oh, sweet. And then Sylvie confirms as much, saying, yes, I have been hiding in apocalypses. This is how I've been doing it. And now in this episode, they are at an apocalypse and a Nexus event is caused. And this is where my brain like blows up because we spent the last 2 episodes like giving this show the like we give it the rule of, okay, Nexus events cannot happen during apocalypses, and now we're breaking that rule because we have 2 more or 3 more episodes to fill. And I'm like, Conner, I don't get it.
Conner, I would raise this point. This is my take on that, just knowing that and just how the whole like them kind of basically reaching out to each other and the whole them creating the big branch thing worked. It's that for me the thing that the last episode kind of flirted with that was interesting to me that they kind of took a stance on it. Again, we kind of then took basically I think we kind of saw the payoff of that stance here is that the end of last episode is we're going to try and subvert that disaster, which I think kind of played in the whole course correction thing where it's like, no, you try as you may, you're not going to be able to stop an apocalypse or save a bunch of people during the apocalypse. Remember, they tried to go to the Ark, which mainly was going to save their skins and survive, but also, again, subvert, kind of on the surface, like, Loki was going to save those people kind of like he did in Ragnarok, kind of how he inspired himself. Remember, the point being, he was going to at least save some bacons, whether it be intentional or otherwise. And then they tried that and failed. As in, okay, course correction, we cannot change this. And I feel the idea is it's one of 2 things, Conner. It's either the way the branch that happens is, again, like an impossibility of we create a Nexus event during the, like a big Nexus event during the apocalypse that, again, is like, by 2 variants. I'm just saying one, it was just something completely unprecedented. That's one theory. The other theory I have that, again, we don't really have any kind of proof of, that it'd be kind of a wait and see, is that perhaps it's because these Lokis were not supposed to die in this timeline, or that sort of thing, where it's this Loki isn't supposed to die in general, or isn't supposed to die here. Because again, the whole principle of the whole Lokis don't die easy or something like that. Which
but I thought the whole point of that the rule that's established about you can do whatever you want during an apocalypse is that it doesn't matter what was supposed to happen. That gets thrown out the window when an apocalypse is happening.
Well, no, for that moment, for that timeline, I'm saying these are like people who aren't supposed to be there, though. That's where I'm saying maybe the rules go.
Guys, but Loki,
Loki and
Mobius
a lot of
were not
time.
supposed to be in.
Guys, we're spending a lot of time on a point that's like not even from this episode. So,
well, no, we are okay. Fine, we are on the episode. We're going to move on past that.
Okay, but I'm just going to say, like, Mobius and Loki were not supposed to be in like Pompeii, but they were. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like the show trying to like give itself this sort of like way to like kind of weave it, like give you something to where you can like mess around and like alternate history, kind of change things and whatnot, and without having to like worry about causing a crime against the timeline or something.
Yeah, well, you may have a point. We're going to re-examine this later. Okay, we'll circle about some other time. Okay, so Lady Sif, she's back.
Yeah. Oh God, this was delightful.
Yeah, the time cell looks a lot like the hell loops from Lucifer, but it's cool.
First of all, just great to see her back.
Yeah, I love Jamie Alexander. She was in a show called Blind Spot, which is why she appeared in the MCU less, in case anyone's curious.
Yeah. What would your guys' like punishment loop be? Because I know for myself, I would catch on to this and I would just hide. I would I would like look around for like a pot to hide behind, and I would just be like, I am going to avoid getting kicked in the nuts. So
Connor, my punish loop would be honestly something involving social humiliation of some kind. So some sort of like really embarrassing, awkward moment, like when I'm in a group setting and I make a Disney reference and it just does not land. Like something like that. Something like that.
Oh god, I get so many. I have no idea what it would be. Just I don't know. There's probably something really inane, but it would be like just the mistake you can't.
Yours would be Sandy Claus just trying to be like, "Hey, Dragon, let's have a podcast." I swear to God, I'm going to be professional at it. God. And you're just like, all right, Sandy, let's see how it goes. And Dragon, no matter what, he just screws it up every time.
God, now that would be one of
kind of airing out some old laundry with that one, but
I mean, look, it'd probably be something a little either something worse or something more really more inane. But yeah, after a while, I mean, I'd probably fall for it a couple times. Maybe I'd like to think I catch on. I'd like to think so. You know, it would not be something as painful as what Lady Sif's doing to our Asgardian here. But
I like how this is a great combination of physical pain and emotional pain.
And I love that Loki eventually, you know, it kind of causes, you know, some self-reflection on narcissism, which again is kind of the point of the show from episode 1. That he's kind of growing. You know, we're kind of growing our variant here. Also, this is actually based on Norse mythology. Apparently, in the actual, you know, the lore that Loki once cut off Lady Sif's hair and really.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, so that's an actual. Yeah, well, I believe her hair's like blonde, or she had like really pretty hair in Norse mythology, and she was married to Thor, and then basically Loki was just screwing around with her. And so again, it was sort of so it's a cool.
Kind of like how it really did feel just like sort of like a casual friends sort of drama, you know?
Yeah. Again, this was definitely before like the first Thor movie.
Yeah.
No question. Like, this is back when like, you know, things were simple, and just, you know, Sif was like, "Oh, that mischievous brother of yours." This is like kind of like one of those like a reality show prank or something, just like really only with actual consequences.
We should talk about I'm sorry, B-15 is her name,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So B-15 is the one who caught Loki, and the one who basically has the big moment with Sylvie in the episode.
So this, can we get like a guest spot Emmy or something like that, or like a one scene Emmy? Because that scene in the rain where she just says the line like I was happy, like that broke my heart a little bit.
I love the choice not seeing what her life was and just playing it like that. So so the whole. The variant conspiracy thing, seeing it played out, because we had the big bombshell of the last episode, and seeing it play out here and seeing it through B-15 and Mobius and them investigating both of their Lokis was a good idea. Yeah. It really made the episode flow for me in that regard. Because you got to remember, this revelation is that, okay, so if Renslayer knows that they're all variants, that breaks the world of the TVA because you're vaporizing and executing yourselves. I'm still wondering what more there is to Miss Minutes that we haven't seen. I know, there's got to be at least one more. I'll bet you Miss Minutes payoff is going to be in the last episode. I'm going to bet you that. I have a big theory. I have a simple idea what next episode's going to. I'm pretty sure. I'll be shocked. I'm pretty sure we're going to do kind of a WandaVision thing where the penultimate episode is kind of like, hey, here's what's going on, and then the finale is like, all right, now we're going to fight. I think episode 5 is going to be the one I've been looking for, the whole elect Loki, kind of like Loki with the whole vote for Loki thing. And that's going to be a lot of fun Loki chaos next episode. Oh, you think episode 5 is going to be the Loki chaos? I'll bet, Tiki, right now I'm going to bet you all the silver. Because I was thinking episode 5 is going to be the big kind of like, all right, let's fully reveal what the timekeepers are about. Let's peek behind the curtain. Well, I think we're going to do that through the fun, though, perhaps. Okay. At the very least, I think it's going to break down like this. We're going to have Loki's wanting fun, and on the other side, we're going to have B-15 and Sylvie team up to find that stuff out. So I think that's what 5's going to be. And then somewhere along the line, Mobius will ride in on a jetpack. Or on a jet ski, I mean. Oh god, can you imagine if he rode in and on jetpack? He's like, Loki! I found a jetpack! Really? It's not quite as cool as a jet ski, but it's more practical than I thought. Go on, Conner.
Oh, I really hope he shows up in a Marmaduke
Oh my god!
And he's like, "Wow,
Wow!
I'm a dog now."
Oh god!
Some people have said, "What if there's like the whole like what if he's a variant of Owen Wilson," which I find hilarious.
Oh my god!
As in, like, what if you had like Roy from Shanghai?
Ka-chow.
Oh my god!
You have Lightning McQueen. And you got
It's just like a photorealistic CG Lightning McQueen.
one of his character from Meet the Parents.
Oh god! Oh boy, fun
Yes, you
times,
definitely got
fun
to do like a
times.
wow gag to be hilarious. Anyway, they all just go wow.
I feel like we've had a couple good.
No,
wows
yeah,
from
we've
Mobius.
had it. We've had like casual cool like wow,
Yeah.
at least one already. I know.
I like the part in this episode when he said, "How?"
Yeah.
How?
Right. Ow.
And as you might know, "how" is a variant on a "wow." You know, you
Yes.
take one letter, make it something else.
Okay, so something we got to talk about before we got to talk about our 4 Loki variants.
Okay. So we got Croaky. Croaky to me is the big one.
Isn't it just Croca Loki? What? Are you sure it's Croaky? Because Croaky sounds like a frog.
Croaky is or Crocky maybe. It just that spelling is what I've been seeing on fandom on fan sites.
I guess I've been blindly assuming Croca Loki.
I mean that works too.
I mean, we'll
Either
see. It might be
way,
Owl Loki.
I hope to God that thing talks. That's all I can say.
I love to think he's from the. A part of me wants him to be from the Spider Pig, from the Spider Ham reality. I don't know if that's going to happen because he's not all cartoony, but it'd be hilarious.
What if he was a Loki that was genetically mutated like Rocket Raccoon was?
Oh, I know. Oh, I know what he should be. It's simple. The answer. It's the Avengers Pets thing where you have.
Oh my god!
So we had the idea that Thor got turned into a frog in the MCU. We've set that up. So what if we did the whole like the variant reality of the multiverse thing of so
Cosmo is canon in the MCU. He's in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
He is. Yeah, we saw him. But what I'm saying is that I think he's just part of the regular. I'm saying you have like just the Avengers Pets as like a whole universe, kind of like this DC Super Pets thing they're doing. And Loki has a pet that is a crocodile, and Thor probably has a pet that is a frog, and there you go.
Okay, so Kid Loki. I still think I don't know. I was pretty convinced of my theory of like, okay, they're gonna drop Kid Loki into Loki's place on the timeline. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think they've really built it up enough.
Yeah.
But Richard E. Grant though.
Okay, that's my favorite. Okay, so here's I heard the rumors.
It's everyone's favorite Dragon.
I love it. Seriously, I heard Richard E. Grant was like there's like a rumor floated. Oh, he might be like an old Loki, which again I was saying, I knew I expected him to be in the show, but I didn't put a lot of stock in the old Loki thing. I mean, I was hopeful, but I wasn't like counting on it. But not only did we get him as an old Loki, we got him in the classic suit. And here's the great thing.
As classic as the WandaVision suits.
And he sounds like he's absolute. Richard E. Grant is like if you were doing a voice cast for Loki, he would be traditional Loki to a T. Like he would be kind of like the Shakespearean old school Loki. Like I could absolutely see him, and like he'd be in like if they did a Thor movie back in the '80s, he would absolutely be your Loki casting.
Oh yeah, oh no doubt.
So that's what I'm saying. I love it so much. We put him in the classic costume. It's wonderful. And then we have boastful Loki who has the hammer.
Boastful Loki throws me off so much because every time I see the hammer, I just think it's Thor. I just think like, oh, hey, it's a variant of Thor that's tagging along.
Now, my question is, did Loki make his own hammer? Or is that variant reality's version of Mjolnir, and he somehow found a way to wield it?
I mean, that would be interesting if it was Mjolnir.
I know. My assumption is that's Mjolnir, but every time I look at it, it's like, it just looks so un-Mjolnir-like.
I know. It looks off. It definitely looks off. Yeah.
But hammers can be different in other universes. It's possible. Yeah. I'm just saying, answer the question, how can Loki wield a hammer? Well, it's not Mjolnir. That's how.
Right.
I don't know. He made his own hammer. He was owned for a brief time. I'm sorry, go on.
It's called Lolnir. I don't know. Lolnir. Lol. I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to see myself out now. My bad, guys.
The flies buzzing off that one.
All right. Anything else we need to bring up that we haven't brought up
I
already?
think we might be good. Let me take a little quick peruse here. Check the comments, Tiki. So we talked about the time cell. Oh, yeah, let me just address this. And I just overall with the episode, the thing I was dreading this episode is the whole business of Loki's gonna have to earn Mobius's trust again. But I like that we played it practically. We kept it condensed. Like he has Loki's kind of almost like a bad confession. He has to start with a lie because that's the only thing Mobius is going to believe, and that kind of leads to the whole inner truth about how he feels about Sylvie and everything. And it's kind of like it ended up in a nice place, which made the loss of Mobius feel even feel more heart wrenching.
Sure.
Right. One last thing I got here. Okay, so they name dropped. We taken care of Kree, Titans, vampires, which is a little nod to Captain Marvel, the Eternals, and Blade.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of people are excited about the vampire.
Jacob Weil makes an interesting observation about Sith, saying she's one of the few actors to be in both the TV universe as in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and also the official MCU.
Yeah, we don't have time for me to rant against a controlled rant against Kevin Feige and James Gunn right now about this whole where the other shows stand right now. I don't have time to get into it. I'm already fuming over. I love those guys, but it's like, come on, guys, when was this acknowledgement? Years ago.
All we need is Charlie Cox and Spider-Man.
I know, that's all we need.
That's all we need. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I asked for so little. I just want.
I still think a legitimately good teaser trailer for No Way Home would just be Mr. Parker. I hear you're in need of a good lawyer.
People would lose their collective minds.
Anyways.
Connor, is there anything you can think of? Because we're about to wrap up here.
Let's see. What's her face? The one the one TVA agent who shows up to help him out. She was the one who had initially taken Loki in.
Yeah, B-15. Yeah,
B-15. Okay, I've kind of been a little. I felt like she's been a little miscast in the past, in the sense that she absolutely has the height, the build, the physical presence of a sort of tough cop Harvey Bullock type. But I think she has the voice of a school teacher, and it's always sort of been a little weird to have that's sort of I feel like her vocal performance is very different than 80% of everything else in her performance. But with this, hearing her disillusionment and kind of breaking out of her mind prison or whatever, I thought she did a really good job, and I was impressed with her this episode.
I can feel that.
Oh, one last thing too. This is big. Ravonna. So with the Ravonna thing, because obviously she has some answers, and I assume the big theory is that Ravonna has a connection with Kang the Conqueror in the comics, and we've been kind of skirting that, because we have no idea if we're going to get Kang or not, and how faithful they're going to be with that sort of thing. And I'm not expecting anything, but it would make sense for how the heck is who created the robots for the TVA and everything? Is it going to be Loki at the end of the day being the one who created the ultimate lie, the ultimate illusion with the TVA, or could it be Kang the Conqueror playing the long game through his girlfriend, possibly with Ravonna Renslayer? Which in the comics, their girlfriend. I don't think we're going to go the romantic route, but the point being his kind of emissary, Ravonna Renslayer. So I think that's kind of
what
what
if
we're
it was
looking
just Justin Hammer. Just straight up Justin Hammer.
It'd be hilarious, but no. Justin, what have you been doing all this time? All of this. Okay. Yeah, that's what you've been doing since that Mandarin short. Okay.
Now that I'm thinking about it, what's his face? Sam Rockwell has a very similar sounding voice as Owen Wilson.
Oh God, he really does.
That could be awesome if they were variants of each other or something.
Oh my God. All right. So final thoughts, Connor. Why don't you go first?
I think this is a marked improvement over the rest of the series. I think it continues the momentum of the last episode, and it adds stakes. It adds, I think, a dramatic. It's dramatically satisfying. I think I've not actually been a big fan of the way the show's looked, but I thought this was the best looking episode. Overall, I'm pretty solid on it. I think there are some, just dialogue things here and there that I kind of find a little irritating. And there's like the first 5 minutes with the little baby 8-year-old Sylvie being able to outrun adults.
She's also a god, but let's just throw that away then.
And she has, but we've established that like no gods don't have any power in the TVA. And I think that I'm losing it. I'm losing my train of thought. But overall, I do think it's a solid episode, and I'm excited to see where we're going into Act 3, because this kind of more or less wraps up what I thought the entire show would be, and I'm happy. So, yeah.
All right, Dragon?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of there's a lot riding on episode 4, and so it seems to have delivered. I mean, again, it makes me really excited for 5, and I have no idea how this puppy's going to end with 6. So I'm very invested. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm just per these Disney Plus MCU shows, I am worried about like if we're going to necessarily pay everything off and everything with by 6, and I'm worried about kind of like the fan response, but we'll see what happens. It could be really cool. I'll be shocked if we don't tee up Kang the Conqueror in the last one, but we will is given all this timekeeper talk and everything, but we will all these reveals and everything. But I was feeling this one quite a bit. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. For sure. I really love this episode a lot. I've been feeling this whole series just because I feel like it's got a big kind of like Terry Gilliam Brazil vibe to it. So I actually have been digging the aesthetics. Now, the way it's shot, sure, I'll give it that. But I have been digging the kind of like the endless kind of corporate sci-fi dystopia that we've been getting from the set dressing. But this episode just really cranks everything out, man. It really does feel like a Last Jedi level event in the Loki universe, which for me is a really good thing. It really kind of takes what we all assumed would be an endgame event of this show, Loki's encounter with the Timekeepers, and just really turns it on its head. And not only that, but Ravonna just really comes into her own as a great twist villain, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they use her in the next 2 episodes to see if she can get even more cold-hearted, because I like what I've seen of her so far.
I do want to say, I like the production design. That when I said I'm not a fan of the way this show looks,
you mean like from a cinematography point of view?
Specifically, yeah, the lighting.
Yeah,
a little odd.
I hear you.
They got a little crazy with the smoke machine. But
gotcha.
I will say, the production design is really awesome, and I want to make a point to say the production design is great. So,
all right, big thanks to Jacob Weil and Beowulf for joining us in the comments. Beowulf, just so you know, we actually have a rotating panel of guests, and from my understanding, it's all about filled up.
Yeah, we're filled up. I filled up the spot today, too.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Beowulf, but I'll try and maybe get you on a debate or something if you do want to come on the channel. Usually that's the best way to vet new people coming onto the channel is through debates. So I'll hit you up, Beowulf. So yeah, that'll do it, folks. Thanks so much for coming on. Thank you, Conner. Anything you want to plug, Conner?
Sadly, no. I'm kind of barren on the internet right now.
All right.
My personal life's a little hectic right now, but I'm on Letterboxd. You can just look me up. That's Conner with an E. Nielsen. That's my last name, and that's kind of what I am everywhere. So,
man who knows television, Mr. Nielsen.
Indeed.
Oh God,
neighbor of Miss Minutes.
Yes,
right.
indeed.
Well, that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano, just Plus and Us.
Come with us if you want to live.
Wow.